Yo, dudes, the Empire's pretty chill. Maybe you could, join it or something.
Hey everyone, Lucamus Prime here. So, it's time for another franchise ranking video today. And today, guys, I'm going to be ranking another franchise which is animated by Sony Pictures. And this franchise, guys, consists of 4 movies. No, it's also Transylvania, because I've already covered that. This franchise is none other than the franchise actually kicks off Sony, guys, which is Open Season. So, guys, as I just said, there are 4 movies in this franchise, and I'm going to be ranking them from best to worst in my personal opinion. So if you guys don't agree, that's absolutely fine, but please respect my opinion just like I respect yours. So, right off the bat, guys, I'm going to say that in my personal opinion, even though this franchise has 4 movies, in my opinion, this franchise only worked best as 1 movie alone. 1. So, and you'll see why when I'm talking about the films. So, let's begin my ranking, shall we? So, starting with what is in first place for me, guys. So, as I just implied then, my personal favourite of this franchise, guys, is none other than the first movie, Open Season. The film that kicked off Sony Pictures animated movies, released in 2006, directed by Roger Allers and Jim Colton. So, this movie, in my opinion, guys, is by no means a masterpiece. It's not perfect by any means. There are many nitpicks I do have of a movie, but in my opinion, it's not terrible, but, still, not the best movie in my opinion, but it is, in my opinion, the most decent and tolerable of this whole franchise. So, yeah. So, the good qualities about this movie, in my opinion, is that the animation is very good for 2006 standards, in my personal opinion, and it's done very well, and it's of course started off Sony, guys, and they made many movies after this, which are definitely really great, and the characters in this are pretty likeable. For example, the main character, Boog, who is voiced by Martin Lawrence in this movie, and to me, he's the only Boog, and also, there was other good voice actors in this movie as well. For example, Ashton Kutcher as Elliot. He's a very good character as well, in my opinion, pretty funny. I also like the addition as well of Gary Sinise as the animal hunter, poacher called Shaw. I thought he was very good as him, a pretty good villain, and although I do like Gary Sinise far more as George in the Mice and Men movie, I still think he was very good with his voice work as Shaw in this movie. Very good. And there's other great actors in this movie as well. For example, you've got Billy Connolly as a character called McSquizzy. And also the legendary Jon Favreau as a character called Riley. Although I do feel Jon Favreau was quite underused, I'll get to some bad qualities. And even Patrick Warburton as a character called Ian as well. He was pretty funny in my opinion. And Patrick Warburton's a pretty good voice actor. So yeah. And the story is also somewhat decent as well, guys. And although in my opinion it is in my opinion quite silly in some areas really. But it's still really good because it shows Boog and Elliot's growing friendship really. And it's somewhat funny and interesting to see, in my opinion, even though it can be silly, to be honest. And there are some funny moments, I will admit. For example, the mart scene and also the party. I did have a laugh watching that, really. So, yeah. And I also like the music composed by Ramin Djawadi and Paul Westerberg. Although I do like Ramin Djawadi's music in Game of Thrones and the first Iron Man movie far more, I thought his music in this was pretty good for, an animation movie, in my opinion. So, this movie, like I said, is no means a masterpiece, guys, so here's why. So, on to the bad qualities. So when it comes to a voice cast, even though the cast is very well they were given, I did not like how some voice actors like Jon Favreau and Patrick Warburton were quite underused, I felt. I didn't really like how their time was quite wasted in this movie. They didn't really have much lines or their characters didn't have much screen time, sadly. And the same thing could also be applied to McSqueezy, voiced by Billy Connolly as well, which was quite disappointing how he got underused. Which is disappointing. I do prefer Billy Connolly far more as Ironfoot in the Hobbit Battle of Five Armies movie. And I, of course, prefer Jon Favreau in his direction in many movies, and also for his role as Happy Hogan in the MCU. And I do also prefer Patrick Warburton for his voice work as Joe Swanson in Family Guy and as Buzz in the Star Command TV show. So, yeah. Also, as well, I also feel like sometimes the movie tends to rip off other movies. I feel it's quite similar to Madagascar in some areas, really, in my opinion. And also, another movie about DreamWorks like Madagascar being Over a Hedge, I feel like it's quite similar to Over a Hedge in my opinion as well. Another film released in the same year before this one came out. Only this time I feel it's much more weirder because Because despite I find some scenes funny, I think there are some gross scenes, really, which aren't very nice to see, really. And even though Elliot, I find to be quite funny, and in my opinion, the most tolerable in this movie, I do think he can be a bit of a moron sometimes in this, but nonetheless, I still thought he was at his best in this movie, especially compared to the absolutely abominable things I'm going to be getting to next. So yeah, and some characters I will admit also were pretty dumb, I will admit, but yeah, still though, this movie in my opinion is easily the most tolerable and probably the best out of this whole franchise. And this movie also had no sequel baiting whatsoever, so yeah. I feel like they should have just ended it with this movie, so yeah. Because this movie was by no means a masterpiece, and they should have just ended it here, really, to be honest. So, if I was to rank this movie out of 10, I would rank this movie a 7 out of 10. Not perfect by any means, but still slightly enjoyable in my opinion, really. Easily, in my opinion, the most tolerable of this whole franchise. And that's it. That's the end of the good stuff. And now we get on to probably the 3 abominations that came after this because even though in my opinion this movie was only one movie, it spawned 3 direct-to-video sequels. Yeah, direct-to-video, which is ridiculous. So out of these 3 abominable sequels, guys, I'm probably going to say that in second place for me, because I'm not really a fan of this movie, I'm probably going to go with what is the most recent one, which came out in 2015, which is Open Season, Scared Silly, directed by David Feiss. And yeah, this is how you make a disappointing sequel, guys. Even though the other 2 were bad, I think this one was probably the most decent out of what came after the first movie. But this movie was not necessary whatsoever, because the first movie gave a decent ending to a franchise with no sequel baiting whatsoever. Just like the same could be part of the other sequels. But the good qualities is that some cast members do reprise their roles, which is, somewhat nice to see, I guess. Even though many characters were unfortunately recast because, residents were bad qualities. It was disappointing at how, many didn't come back, but some did, however, come back, though, which is, I guess, a good quality of this movie. And yeah. And I do also like how this movie also acts as a direct sequel to the first movie and ignores the previous 2 movies. That I do appreciate, even though in my opinion this movie is not necessary. And because it ignores the second and third movie, I feel like it has a much better connection to the first movie this way. Especially because it brings back Shaw as well. Even though he was no longer voiced by Gary Sinise, it was nice to see Shaw come back. Although in my opinion, it does kind of, make his defeat in the first one pretty pointless in my opinion, but still. It was so nice to see him as like a nice connection. So yeah. And the music composed by Ruben Gregson Williams and Dominic Lewis was also decent as well, in my opinion, pretty well composed really. But onto the absolute bad qualities of the movie. So, like I just said, this movie in my opinion is totally unnecessary. It was not needed at all. And the recast also really did my head in as well. Like, because all these sequels tend to recast, the whole cast of actors. It's just ridiculous what they do, really. And I hated that. Like, even though some of the main characters may still be, likeable, in my opinion, I feel like many of the actors who replaced them were miscast. For example, I did not like Donnie Lucas as Boog, really. In my opinion, no one near as great as Martin Lawrence, or I definitely also did not like Will Townsend as Elliot, and I prefer Ashton Kutcher far more. And furthermore as well, we'll go into Elliot in a bad quality, because this movie did something pretty bad to Elliot, which I definitely hated. And yeah, pretty much everyone else got recast, but there was only a fair few that returned, guys, which is Melissa Stern, who reprises her role from the third film as Giselle, and Michelle Murdoch also returned as Maria. And Maddie Taylor, who was formerly called Matthew Taylor, I think also returns as Denny as well, so yeah. And yeah, this movie was just not necessary. It was like a very mean-spirited, totally necessary sequel, and they also made Elliot really unlikable, guys, because he's always continuously putting Boog in danger all the time, because he's so stupid. And that was absolutely ridiculous. Oh my god. And also, the movie was introduced as a werewolf, guys, but when I saw a werewolf, I didn't even find the werewolf intimidating whatsoever. Like, he just looked ridiculous and didn't even feel like an actual, like, antagonistic character, in my opinion. So this was disappointing, really. And the ending was just like a generic, everybody dance now ending, really. nothing really new there. It was just so generic and ridiculous. Yeah, this movie was just unnecessary, guys. But in my opinion, the most talked about to a sequels, I will admit. In my opinion, so yeah. So, if I was to rank Open Season Scared Silly out of 10, guys, I would rank Open Season Scared Silly a very mediocre 5 out of 10. So, yeah. Not needed, but still, in my opinion, the most talked about out of the sequels to the first movie. So, yeah. And now, we get on to probably what is, in my opinion, the second worst of this franchise, and that's none other than 2008's Open Season 2. Oh my god, this movie sucked. Directed by Matthew O'Callaghan and Todd Wilderman. Like, what the hell was this sequel? This was not needed whatsoever, at all. The first movie perfectly wrapped up the story, so why would it have to do a second installment? Oh my god. This was ridiculous. The ones were good qualities. Some characters have actors reprised their roles from the first film. For example, Billy Connolly returns as McSquizzy, and Matthew Taylor, now called Maddie Taylor, also returns as Denny and Buddy as well. So yeah, that was nice to see some cast members return. And Ramin Djawadi's music is also really good as well, guys, in my opinion. But like I said before, I do prefer his music far more in Game of Thrones and in the first Iron Man movie. But yeah, his music in this film was decent, although I do like his music more in the first film, to be honest. And now, on to bad quality. So, I've already let a cat out of the bad guys and say that in my opinion this movie was not needed. Yeah, it definitely wasn't needed at all in my opinion. Talk about a very mean-spirited, unnecessary sequel. It was not needed at all. Like, it was boring as hell. Just ridiculous, but slightly more tolerable compared to the next movie. And when it comes to recasts, Mike Epps was okay as Boog in my opinion, but I do prefer Martin Lawrence strongly. Joel McHale was also decent as Elliot, but I do prefer Ashton Kutcher way more. And however, I did not like how Matthew Taylor replaced Patrick Warburton as Ian. I did not like that. In my opinion, didn't sound anything like Patrick that much, really, in my opinion. Just nothing like him, in my personal opinion. And yeah, this movie was just so boring as hell. Was not needed at all. Like, I don't know why they made it in the first place, because, you know, the first movie, you know, didn't even set to any sequels at all. Yeah, it just wasn't needed. And yeah, I just, you know, don't know what I was thinking watching this, because, guys, you know, I didn't waste my money on the sequels because I watched all the films via Netflix, you know, so I could binge watch them all to do this ranking video, and yeah. And I only on the first movie, guys, and I'm keeping it that way. Because this sequel was just ridiculous. Absolute piece of trash. So, if I was to rate Open Season 2 out of 10, guys, I would rate Open Season 2 a 4 out of 10. So, yeah. Not a good movie, guys, in my opinion. The cast did their best, but they unfortunately couldn't save it. And in my opinion, the recast just didn't really work for me, really. Which is sad, because many of them are voiced by good voice actors. You know, you've got Joel McHale in this, and, you know, and also, you know, like Diedrich Bader as well, very good voice actor as Rufus. But, you know, still, unfortunately, the actors in this couldn't really save the movie, sadly. In my opinion, Billy Connolly was the best part of it, to be honest. That's what I'll say. But yeah, 4 out of 10, because this movie was just trash. And yeah. And now, on to the absolute worst of this franchise, guys. The worst movie of this franchise, in my opinion, in 4th place for me. Not my favourite at all, because I hate this movie with a burning passion. And that is none other than 2010's Open Season 3. Oh my god, this movie absolutely sucked. What the hell was this movie, guys? Honest to God, this movie was bloody awful. God, I hated it. This movie directed by Cody Cameron, like, once again, was not needed at all. I don't know why they made this movie. Like, Open Season 1 had a nice ending, but didn't set any sequels. So, on to a good qualities, if there even is any, guys. Well, I could possibly say just redeeming aspects. Probably that, you know, only a fair few cast members do return, I guess, maybe. Like Matthew Taylor as, you know, Denny and Buddy. And yeah. And I guess that's probably about it, really. And Crispin Glover also returned as Fifi as well, which was, I guess, one good thing. I think Nika Futterman as well returned. But yeah, this movie just really sucked. And yeah, what the hell was this movie, guys? Like, and I think let's wait for good qualities. If there is any, so like, on to the absolute bad qualities. So, once again, the recasts absolutely annoyed me. In my opinion, Matthew J. Munn did not work at all for me as Boog. Like, such a miscast in my opinion. I do prefer Martin Lawrence strongly. Matthew Taylor also, in my opinion, did not work as Elliot either. Or Ian, for that matter. Like, the recast just did not work at all. Yeah, and also, they also replaced Billy Connolly as McSquizzy with Andre Soglioso. Even though I do like Andre Soglioso as a voice actor, guys, and many things he's done voice work in, I don't think he was good as McSquizzy. No. I think Billy Connolly was way better. And in my opinion, like I said, the best part of the second movie, because he returned as his character, but... And also, guys, this movie was also absolutely boring as hell. So boring, and it was so hard to get through watching. Like, I wasn't even 10 minutes into the movie, and I was already bored out of my mind. Like, for most of this movie, guys, I was either on my phone or like on my iPad making a video because I was so bored watching the movie. There was even some parts when I was watching on TV on Netflix, and I'd either shut it off to go and get a drink or do something else, really. Because this movie was just so boring and absolute cringe fest to get through. But I watched it for your benefit if you guys are wanting to rely on me to review the franchise so you don't have to watch movies. So yeah, I watched it for your benefit if you're wanting to avoid the movies. And yeah. And also, guys, the reason why I think this movie is boring is because there is literally no damn story at all. Like, what the hell was the plot in this? What was it? I didn't have a clue what was going on at all. Like, nothing exciting happened at all. This was just an abomination to sit through. I hated it. Honestly, screw this movie. And this movie, guys, you know, it involves a circus coming, and you know, and Boog wants to go there, and it involves like a rescue party to rescue Boog, but when we get there, he doesn't want to leave. So yeah, pointless rescue right there. Ridiculous. So he screws the movie all the way, guys. Absolute abomination. I mean. And I think I also regard it as probably the second worst animated movie I've ever seen in my life after Surf's Up 2. In my opinion, that's the worst movie I've seen which is animated, because that movie is not even a movie, it's just a very long wrestling commercial. This movie, in my opinion, is probably the second worst, so yeah, like, screw this movie all the way. And if you're wondering why I'd rate Open Season 3 out of 10, in my opinion, the absolute worst of this franchise, an absolute piece of trash. Because of a few cast members returning from before, and I guess the animation is also somewhat decent in these sequels, but not as good as the first film, really, in my opinion. And music was also fine, composed by Jeff Cardone, even though I do prefer Ramin Djawadi and Paul Westerberg's music. I give Open Season 3 an absolute piece of trash, a 1.5 out of 10. So yeah, screw this movie all the way. Absolute garbage. So that's it, guys. I'm done with my ranking open season. So yeah, now, so my final ranking is, so first place for me is the first movie, Open Season. Second place is Scared Silly. Third place is Open Season 2. And last place, and definitely in least place, Open Season 3. So yeah, honestly, I'm so done, and this was just a pain to get through, really, guys. So yeah. And when it comes to you know what I only own the first movie, guys. I am not buying the sequels. Hell no. I'm not buying them at all. But when it comes to future, guys, I will post, you know, like, you know, single reviews for each of these movies, you know. This one will get, you know, the most positive review I can get for these films, whereas the sequels will all be getting, you know, either mediocre mess for the fourth movie and trash talks for 2 and 3, because I hate those two pieces of crap. So, yeah. It's because of these abominable direct-to-video sequels, guys, but I wish Sony truly began with Surf's Up. In my opinion, this is an underrated movie, and in my opinion, the true start to Sony's animated movies. Not this franchise. Because, yeah, all these sequels ruined this movie, in my opinion. They really ruined it. So, yeah. So guys, this is me doing my ranking of the open season animated movies by Sony from best to worst. So you know drill, guys. Be sure to give this video a like. Also be sure to leave comments what you guys would rank open season films from best to worst or weakest in your opinion. Tell me in the comments below. Also be sure to join Team Prime by pressing subscribe for movies coming in the future. If you'd like to be a member, you can press on your PC alerts up or you can click on the description, and I'll see you all later.